Good morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching JanataTelevision and this is English Bulletin with me, Yutsa Bhadrai. The top stories first. Task Force recommends government not to endorse MCC without revision, endorsing the grant agreement in its current form not acceptable. NCP Chair Dahal says power corrupts leaders, deviation from communist ideology not a good indication. Nepalese Army observes Army Day. President Vidya Devi Bhandari graces Army's function at Turikel. US prepares to withdraw troops from Afghanistan, ready to sign deal with Taliban on February 29. And Federer to miss French Open after knee surgery, plans to return for Wimbledon. And now the news in detail. A task force formed by the ruling Nepal Communist Party has recommended the government not to endorse the Millennium Challenge Corporation grant of the USA from Parliament in its existing form. The task force, headed by former Prime Minister Jhalanath Khanal, met with Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli at his official residence in Balwata yesterday and submitted a report it was mandated to prepare in connection to the $500 million grant agreement. The task force has recommended the government to endorse the grant only after amending some objectionable provisions in the agreement that are against national sovereignty. The task force prepared its report after studying the grant agreement in detail, and it's possible to link to the Indo-Pacific strategy, which a section of ruling party leaders believe to be a countermeasure against the Belt and Road Initiative of China. Under the MCC grant agreement, the US has proposed installing cross-border electricity transmission lines and for upgrading roads. The three-member task force was formed on February 3rd by the Central Committee meeting of the NCP. It was initially mandated to come up with its suggestion on whether the government should endorse the agreement or not within 10 days. The task force had sought an additional 10 days to complete the report. Other members of the task force were Foreign Minister Pradeep Gyawali and NCP leader Bhim Rawal. While Khanal and Rawal were against endorsing the MCC grant in its current form, Gyawali was of the view that it should be endorsed without any further delay. Executive Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party Pushpa Kamal Dahal has said that the communists in Nepal have a tendency of turning corrupt once they come into power, despite their immense contribution to revolution in the past. Speaking at a function organized to lay the foundation stone of the building of Narayan Bilas Joshi Memorial Academy in Bhaktapur on Friday, Chairman Dahal claimed that the same communists contributing to revolution indulge in corruption and irregularities once they take charge of the government. He accused that the leaders talk about sacrifice and are ready for it while not in power, but they get overwhelmed by greed of money and lust for power after joining the government.
सत्ता प्राप्त गरिसकेपछि कहीं न कहीं त्यो आदर्शबाट विचलित हुने गरेका थुप्रै घटनाहरू विश्व इतिहासमा पनि छन् र नेपालको इतिहासमा पनि त्यसका संकेतहरू लक्षणहरू देखिने गरेका छन्। त्यहाँ गइसकेपछि पद, प्रतिष्ठा, लोभ, लालचा अनि विभिन्न खालका विसङ्गति, विकृति, भ्रष्टाचार जन्य क्रियाकलापहरू देखिन जाने।
There are ample examples of communist leaders deviating from their political ideology in the world history, said Dahal, adding that such instances are not a good indication for Nepal. President Vidya Devi Bhandari offered prayers at the Pashupatinath temple on occasion of Mahashivaratri yesterday. The president made a special offer to Lord Shiva at the temple for 15 minutes. She visited the temple as per the tradition of the head of the state, making such visit to the temple every year. Likewise, Vice President Nanda Bahadur Pun also visited the temple and offered prayers. Another high-profile visit to the temple was made by Tourism Minister Yogesh Patrai. Security in the area was beefed up for the president's visit. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. After the break, we continue with other national news. The Nepalese army, with its ground history of 250 years, celebrated the Army Day by organizing various programs across the country yesterday. President Vidyadevi Bhandari graced a special function organized by the army to mark its establishment day at Tudik Hill. The army offered gun salutes to the president while displaying parades and other drills during the function at the army pavilion. The Nepalese army started celebrating the Army Day on the occasion of Mahashivaratri since the last 2 decades. The Nepalese army, which has been protecting national sovereignty since its establishment, was set up in 1819 BS. During yesterday's function, President Bhandari paid a tribute to the soldiers who had lost their lives while carrying out their duties. Vice President Nanda Bahadur Pun, Prime Minister KP Oli, Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Ishwar Pokhrel, Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Jabara Rana and other ministers and high-ranking government officials as well as chiefs of diplomatic missions were present during the function. Besides the representatives of diplomatic missions in Nepal, a chief of the British Army also graced the function. Of late, the Nepalese army has created a good reputation in disaster management and road expansion drive of the country. The army has been handed the task of undertaking the Kathmandu-Tarai fast track, which is one of the several national pride projects. A child has been killed after being hit by a bus amid a Mahashivaratri celebration in Dolkha. The deceased has been identified as Pujan Thami of Kalinchok Rural Municipality 9, Dolakha. Thami was hit by a bus owned by Arnico Transportation Company with registration number BA4K5089. The victim had been reportedly blocking the road with a rope as a part of Shivaratri celebration. Police informed that Thami died on spot as his rope got entangled with the bus heading towards a district headquarters Charikot from Singati. The bus driver has been arrested and the vehicle impounded by the police. Every year, holy men in large number arrive at the Pashupatinath temple during Mahashivaratri festival to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, the supreme god of Hindus, popularly known as Babas. The holy men add a different charm to Pashupati during Shivaratri celebrations. However, in recent years, Babas have drawn criticisms for promoting malpractices during the Shivaratri festival. Babas from all across the country as far as India visit Pashupati for the celebration of Lord Shiva's night. A huge crowd of Babas can be seen on the premises of Pashupatinath temple. However, some of those holy men take this opportunity to beg for alms and earn money. Some devotees have even complained of harassment by the Babas in the name of money. While some Babas present themselves in a more civilized manner to beg for alms, others create terror on the temple premises. Babas do not only forcefully offer tika but also coerce devotees for money. We present one such clips here. Pilgrims were even seen fleeing the temple premises after Babas tormented them. Some Babas can also be seen selling cannabis-infused substances that have been banned by the government. Babas, who are often respected as saints and holy men, were even found scolding people by the Janata team after some pilgrims denied them money. The terror of Babas need to be immediately addressed by the Pashupati Area Development Trust in order to stop the harassment of pilgrims. And now the news from economic front. Power supply will be interrupted for 4 days after Nepal Electricity Authority started repairing the Kaligandaki A hydroelectricity generator. The supply of electricity has been stopped since Thursday night as water leakage was spotted from the main inlet valve in the first unit of the powerhouse. The repairing work began right away. NEA has informed that the power supply from all units has been stopped to fix the faulty unit. The power supply will be regular from Monday after the reparations will be complete, NEA informed. The industrial sector of western parts of the country such as Butwal, Bhairawa and other places will run out of power in the evening due to temporary shutdown of one of the biggest powerhouses in the nation. The Kaligandaki powerhouse generates 144 megawatts of electricity. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back, and now the international news. The US and the Taliban are set to sign a historic agreement that would pave the way to ending America's longest war, the bitter foes announced yesterday, hours after Kabul said a week-long partial truce across Afghanistan would kick off this weekend. If that so-called reduction in violence holds, it would mark a major turning point in the grueling conflict and set the conditions for a deal that could ultimately pull US troops out after more than 18 years and launch Afghanistan into an uncertain future. Both US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the Taliban issued statements saying they had agreed to sign the accord on February 29 in Doha following the one-week partial truce. The United States has been in talks with the Taliban for more than a year to secure a deal in which it would pull out thousands of troops in return for Taliban security guarantees and a promise to hold peace talks with the government in Kabul. A reduction in violence would show the Taliban can control their forces and demonstrate good faith ahead of any signing, which would see the Pentagon withdraw about half of the 12,000 or 13,000 troops currently in Afghanistan. A woman has pleaded guilty to 2 terrorism offences, including scoping out St Paul's Cathedral in London as a possible bomb target, Reuters cited police as saying on Friday. Shafia Shaikh, 36 of Hayes, West London, has been remanded in custody ahead of sentencing at the Old Bailey on May 11. She was charged last October with preparing terrorist acts, including making contact with someone she believed could help her make explosives and staying in a hotel to conduct reconnaissance. The statement of charges also said she selected the hotel as a target for an explosive device and then scoped out St. Paul's as a location to plant a second bomb. She also prepared words of pledge of alliance to Islamic State. The second charge related to dismantling terrorist publications, police added in a statement. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Roger Federer has said he will miss a number of tournaments, including the French Open, after undergoing keyhole surgery on his knee in Switzerland on Wednesday, but he is targeting a return in the time for Wimbledon. According to AFP, the 20 times Grand Slam champion struggled with injury at the Australian Open, where he lost in the semi-finals to eventual champion Novak Djokovic and has not played since. Federer, 38, said he would miss ATP tournaments in Dubai, Indian Wells, Bogota and Miami, as well as the French Open, which starts at the end of May. It will be the 4th time in 5 years that Federer, champion at Roland Garros for the only time in 2009, has missed the clay court slam. The Swiss skipped the entire clay court session in 2017 and 2018 and last year played only 2 tournaments on the surface before arriving in Paris for the French Open, where he lost to Rafael Nadal in the semi-finals. His agent told Reuters last week that Federer was planning on playing only at Roland Garros while skipping the Madrid and Rome Masters. The French Open begins on May 24. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Task force recommends government not to endorse MCC without revision, endorsing the grant agreement in its current form not acceptable. NCP Chair Dahal says power corrupts leaders, deviation from communist ideology not a good indication. Nepalese Army observes Army Day, President Vidya Devi Bhandari graces Army's function at Turikel. US prepares to withdraw troops from Afghanistan, ready to sign deal with Taliban on February 29. And Federer to miss French Open after knee surgery, plans to return for Wimbledon. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.